The Goodwill Tour of the Creature Kings. Part 1. The Easy Ones. Cricks delivered the briefing with the air of someone handing over a cursed object. He slapped the folder onto Molt's desk, licked both eyes at once and said, "You're going on a Goodwill tour, visiting some of the Creature Kings. We want to review the old pacts. Just check in with the spirit embodiments, smile and make notes. No negotiations." Molt stared at the folder. "Why me? I'm a detective, not a diplomat." "Because you survived the Kelpies," Crick said. "You highlighted that we've been lax with pacts, and we don't want any headaches down the road. Besides, it's not just you, we have another 2 agents on it too. Easy work, just obey the protocols and don't be a smart mouth." Molt's tail swished once. Cricks observed it, a hint of tail envy in his gaze. "You always swish your tail when you're angry, Molt." "I'm not angry." Swish. Cricks raised a brow ridge but didn't comment. He glanced past Molt's shoulder. Ginny had drifted in, humming, wearing Mr. Feathers like a hat, a dead pigeon bonnet, limp wings hanging over her ears. Molt pretended not to notice. Cricks did notice. "Before you begin," he said tightly, "are you absolutely certain this ghost shadowing you is covered under whatever the cats are up to?" 100%, Molt lied. "You didn't even blink." "I blinked internally." Crick sighed the sigh of a supervisor who had long ago surrendered to chaos. "Just don't expect her to get any wages." "You know the drill. Inquire, smile, chat, take notes. Don't promise anything, don't agree to anything, don't get eaten." Mr. Feathers slid off Ginny's head and hit the desk with a soft thump. Cricks ignored it. "Off you go," he said, "and try not to start a war." Molt didn't leave immediately. He sat at his desk, tail flicking, and opened the briefing packet. He already knew the basics. They were the old spirits, the ones who stood for their whole kind, the way a crown stands for a kingdom, the living idea of their species made flesh. Liminal spirits who dwelt in the cracks of the world, hedgerows, tunnels, abandoned barns, graveyards, forgotten footpaths. To visit them was to cross over. Crossing over meant matching scale. The realm adjusted you, or itself, until you and the spirit could meet eye to eye, except crows. Crows insisted on being crows. The packet was extensive. He never skimped a detail. Etiquette was everything with this sort of interaction. Some spirits seemed harmless, but forget to bow properly to the Swan Queen, and 100 of her subjects might come at you, wings swinging, trying to break your arm. He read about the Badger Council dispute, ongoing. The Owl Retribution of 1831. 1 farmer killed, 2 blinded, 1 barn reclaimed. The Carrion Crow eye-taking incidents, multiple. The Great Hedgehog Migration, unresolved. The Fox Ferret Accord, broken twice. He rubbed his snout. Suffering syphilis. Ginny peered over his shoulder. "Adventure?" Mr. Feathers, now an alive ghost again, cooed in a tone that suggested, "You're doomed." Molt closed the folder. "Fine, let's get this over with." The Hedgehog Matron. He'd met the Hedgehog Matron once on a missing child case. She'd given him a jar of homemade slug jam. The threshold lay beneath a bramble arch at the back of a sprawling old garden where the grass grew long and the air felt fresh and warm. He formed a glyph in the air, recited a rather twee spell rhyme, and the world shifted. The air grew warmer, greener, softer. Molt found himself in a tiny woodland glade that shouldn't exist in Surrey. It didn't, not really. It was simply the place you crossed through to reach Higgle Pig Cottage, the Hedgehog Realm. He was now Hedgehog Realm sized, a little taller than the matron, who stood about a foot shorter than him, round and soft and radiating grandmotherly warmth. She emerged from a nest of leaves, blinking slowly. "Oh, my dear boy," she said, delighted. "Hello again." Molt bowed politely and held out the empty jam jar from last time. "I've brought this back for you, matron," she beamed. "Good lad. Did you like it? I've made another batch, with just a hint of beetle. It's delicious." "It was delicious," he said, and it really had been. He cleared his throat. "Matron, I'm here on behalf of the office to hear any grievances and to be sure the old pact still holds true. How's the garden this year?" She launched into a detailed account of slugs, grandchildren and the weather. Molt listened, politely, as one did with grandmothers and ancient woodland spirits. Her only complaint voiced more as a gentle suggestion, was that with all the new fences and busy road humans kept putting up, it would be lovely if they made a few more little tunnels under the fences and a few more hedgehog crossings. Her grandchildren liked to wander and they kept getting stuck or confused by the traffic. Molt wrote it down. Very sensible, he said. I will be sure to pass this on to my superiors. She gave him a fresh jar of slag jam. He accepted it with gratitude. Ginny curtsied. Mr. Feathers, dead again, slid off her head and into a patch of moss. The Badger Lord. The chalk tunnel was a literal crawl space between worlds. Molt squeezed through, tail scraping stone, and emerged into a cavern lit by soft earth glow. Realm size adjustment made him roughly eye level with the Badger Lord, though the Lord was broader, heavier, and radiated the kind of authority that could silence a parish council with a single grunt. You again, he rumbled. Molt bowed. He'd never met Lord Badger before, but badgers tended to assume all lizard folk looked the same. Lord Badger, I'm here to hear any grievances and to confirm that the old pact remains honoured. The Badger Lord complained about foxes encroaching on ancestral burrows and a rival set claiming rights to a chalk seam. Humans were mentioned only as an afterthought. They keep putting fences in stupid places. Molt took notes. His knees hurt. His dignity hurt more. Ginny patted the Badger Lord's nose. He tried very hard to act curmudgeonly. Badgers did not get petted, but he softened immediately. He leaned into a nice ear scratch. Good child, he said. Molt was relieved he hadn't been offended. The Carrion Crow Regent. The ritual circle in the old battlefield was marked with stones and rusted metal. Molt placed the ritual shiny object, a polished brass button, at the centre, as the notes instructed, and spoke the secret crow name. The world tilted. He found himself in a grey, wind-bitten graveyard, crows perched on every headstone. The crow realm did not alter Molt's size. Crows were perfectly content being crow-sized. The regent descended from a broken angel statue, feathers black as oil, eyes bright with old intelligence. It alighted on a dead tree at Molt's eye line. Molt bowed deeply, eyes down, and held out the button. "O Grand Crow Regent," he intoned, "I come on behalf of the office to hear any grievances and to ensure the pact of your esteemed line still holds." The regent clicked his beak. "Tribute accepted." Mr. Feathers, and the live ghost now, froze, staring at the regent with something like awe, not jealousy, recognition. Ginny whispered, "He's pretty." The regent's grievances were not human theft this time, but that the owl matriarch had been testing boundaries again. Molt wrote it down. Mr. Feathers made a soft, reverent coo. The Spider God. The Spider God's realm was easy to connect to. Any web could act as its threshold. Molt stepped into an old barn and found a nice big web. A spider sat in its dead centre, awaiting its lunch. Molt tossed a dead fly into the web and stared into it while thinking the Spider God's true name. The note said, "Stare inside, feed the weaver, speak the name." Molt did. The world went dark. Not dim, dark. A darkness with weight, with texture, with breath. Realm-sized logic made him small here, appropriately sized for prey. And he was held fast, stuck in a web, unable to move any part of himself but his head. He couldn't see Ginny. He couldn't hear Mr. Feathers. He was alone. A voice whispered from the black. "Speak." Something vast shifted above him, a dark shape that seemed to loom ever closer, though Molt couldn't tell spider body from shadow. "Tell me why you are not food." Molt swallowed. His tail tried to twitch and failed. "I'm here on behalf of the office," he said carefully, "to hear any grievances and to confirm that the old pact still holds, and to give you a reason not to eat me." Silence. Then the Spider God descended, not fully visible, only the suggestion of legs, the gleam of eyes, the cold brush of silk. "Something tugs at the old threads," the god murmured. "A spinneret that does not belong." Molt's breath caught. "Honoured one, spinner of wisdom, what do you mean by that?" The fangs clicked softly. "Be wary, surface walker. The web remembers every touch." There was a long pause. Molt waited, hoping more knowledge might be offered. Finally, the Spider God declared, "We have no grievances. The pact is good. You are not food." The web loosened. The darkness thinned. Molt stumbled back into the barn, gasping. Ginny floated in through the wall. Mr. Feathers fluttered down from the beam, annoyed and half alive. Molt dusted himself off. Suffering syphilis. Molt trudged down the lane, Ginny drifting beside him. Mr. Feathers perched on her shoulder like a judgmental grey epaulet, occasionally dead, occasionally alive, depending on his mood. That, Molt said, was the easy day. Ginny nodded happily. Mr. Feathers cooed ominously. Molt sighed. Of course it was.